G'day beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Wraith. We're going to look at his stats, his scaling, his abilities, and one build that I've created for him. There will be more coming very soon, but for now we'll just go over that one. So with that said, let's get straight into it. Okay. So Wraith is an attacker, controller, ganker, and elusive. He's a ranged intellect order hero, and he has a 6 for basic attack power, 8 for ability attack power, 2 for durability, and a 4 for mobility. Alright, looking at his actual stats, he starts off with 500 health, which ends up at 1444, 1443, I can't even read, which is pretty standard for a caster. This is, as far as his base stats go, health regen, mana regen, armor, they scale like a caster, so it'd be pretty much the same as every other casters. There are a couple that are kind of a little bit weird. His health regen starts at 1.2, ends up at 4.1. His mana starts at 280 and ends up at 1232 like a caster. His mana regen starts at 1.3 and ends up at 5.1. His basic armor starts at 8 at the start of the game and ends up at 22 at level 15. And like every other hero, he starts with 20 ability armor and ends up at 30.5. Okay, so I mentioned that his stats scale like a caster. Where he differs from a caster is his basic attack, which is simply called Bang. It does 53 damage to start off with at the start of the game with no power added to it. It gets 1.6 damage per level as he levels up, and it has a power scaling of 0.6, which is, I believe, the same scaling as Aurora. So he scales as a very weak fighter in his power scaling on his basic attack. So he has the benefits of a caster's base stats like his mana pool and his mana regen, but he benefits from having a very low end fighter's damage scaling on his basic attack. So this thing can hurt compared to other casters if you're up against a Gideon and neither of you are using abilities and you're both landing your basic attacks. Wraith should win out in most scenarios. Okay, the first ability we're going to look at is Knock Knock. It's his only damaging ability, and it reads, a long-range scope shot that penetrates geometry, killing an enemy hero or minion with this ability will refund the mana cost over a short time and reduce the cooldown. So it has a power scaling of 1, meaning that for every 100 power you put on your build, you will get an extra 100 damage added to the ability. It starts off by doing 80 damage at the first level and ends up doing 230, so you can have this do quite a bit of damage. The mana cost starts at 80 and ends up at 125, but as it says, if you are last hitting anything, whether it be a minion or a hero or a buff, you will get that mana cost back. So it starts at 80 and ends up at 125. It has a 6-second cooldown, but if you do get a last hit with it, it will end up being a 2-second cooldown, and the range is 2400 units, which is quite big. I think that's getting close to the range of a howitzer missile, or around about the same as a howitzer missile, so it is quite long. It's an amazing ability. It allows him to offlane pretty well because he can stay in the safety of his tower and get last hits with his Knock Knock, and he won't run out of mana. It's good for poking in the mid lane or even in the off lane. It does more damage than what you would expect, and it is super fun to use. Some of the shots that I've landed to secure kills have had me giggling like a schoolgirl. I love this ability and I love Wraith. But moving on to his next ability, which is called Who's There. Wraith launches a sonar ward that pings its location to reveal nearby enemy heroes. No line of sight restrictions. So this acts like a legacy ward, meaning that if you were to say shoot it and it landed underneath one of the river buffs and the jungler was at his white camp behind that wall, you'd actually be able to see them because there's no line of sight restrictions. It can ping through walls, has a very low mana cost of 40, has a cooldown of 16 seconds. It has an uptime of a minute, so it doesn't sit out for as long as a actual shadow ward that you can place on your build. The revealed duration starts at 6 seconds, ends up at 15 seconds. What that means is that once it pings someone, they will stay on the map for that amount of time. The radius that it works in is 1300 units, which is pretty decent, and you can have 3 drones out at a time. So you can actually shoot 3 drones out and have them in separate spots before the first one is even run out. The next ability, which is also super fun to muck about with, is called Back It Up. Mark an enemy hero to warp them back to where they were moments ago. So it starts off costing 65 mana and ends up costing 95 mana. The cooldown starts at 28 seconds and ends up at 16. So it is quite a long cooldown, which is why I was kind of tempted to mess about with some cooldown reduction, but I didn't end up going that route. The range starts at 1325 and ends up at 2000, so you can pull someone back from quite a ways, and it can be quite a difficult ability to make use of. You need to be very aware of timing. You need to be very aware of where someone would have been 3 seconds ago. Okay, there's been a lot of occasions where people on the other team have backed me up to pretty much the same spot that I'm in, that have backed me up to spots that actually help me to get away. I've had people on my team using Back It Up and actually helping an enemy get away. You need to be very, very on top of timings and sort of realize where they may end up. You are going to be given a sort of like an outline trail of where they're going to end up, but there is no point following that if it leads to a spot where it's of no help to your team. Yesterday I played a match with my friends and I actually backed a Kai up on top of a tier 1 tower, which just ended up being a nuisance. We got him in the end, but it was a very bad play on my part. Lastly, we have Surprise Surprise. Wraith sends himself and allies into the shadow plane and grants a movement speed bonus. It costs 100 mana. The stealth duration starts at 8 seconds and at max level it lasts for 16 seconds. So it's not, it doesn't seem huge. It is quite a long length of time though towards the end of the game. The movement speed bonus is always 100. The radius refers to how far away from you your allied heroes can be for them to be affected, and the cooldown starts at 130 and it's up to 90, so every minute and a half at max level you'll be able to use this. It's quite hard to actually be able to use this to go and secure kills by ganking, because people are using wards, so dewarding is going to be a huge thing now. But it does very much work in that regard. It's also extremely good in the middle of a team fight when, let's just say for example, you do get a pick in the middle of a team fight, you do take out the carry, but a couple of people are a little bit in risk of dying. You can actually use this and allow everyone to reposition onto a different target. It does take very, very good communication within your team, so people that are in sort of a 5-stack with comms are going to use this so much better than a lobby of random players. But it is a very, very interesting take on the stealth mechanic within Paragon, and it makes Wraith a very interesting hero. So I'm enjoying him very, very much. I'm playing him mainly mid. Mid and off lane are very, very easy for him to handle. You could, like I've said in previous videos, definitely run him as a support. Being able to back someone up that he's getting away for your carry to secure a kill on is great. There are many, many things that make him work in different positions. Definitely not a carry though, so just so that everyone understands, he is not a carry. If he's going to be in the right lane, he should be playing the support role or pseudo support role. He is not a carry. You would not use him as a carry for the same reasons that you would not use Aurora as a carry. And I suggest not jungling with him. There are people out there that will tell you that he scales as well as some of the top tier junglers. It's not quite true. He starts off with around about the same damage and he gets the same amount of damage per level, but his power scaling is kind of bad on the fighter end. He definitely can jungle. Don't let me tell you that he can't, just for the same reason that Wukong technically can jungle. He has the damage to do so, but I probably wouldn't take him into the jungle. I would more than likely take him mid lane and off lane, as he is kind of a caster. So mid lane is great for him, and as a lot of people know, if a caster can take mid lane, they can definitely handle off lane. But that's it for the guide portion of the video, so we'll head over to the Paragon website and take a look at one build that is a little bit weird, I think, compared to most people's builds that I've done the math on, and actually really hurts. Alright guys, here we are over on the Paragon deck builder on their website. We have Nightbird, which is a Generation 1 Transformer. I don't know why I named him Nightbird, because Nightbird is technically a female Transformer, but it popped into my head and I couldn't think of anything else, so Nightbird. Okay, we have Archmagus, just make sure that those Who's There and basic attacks do more damage. We have 3 consumables in a health potion, chronotonic, healer token. Obviously we're starting off with the healer token and health potion, but I really like having chronotonic on my intellect casters. The 10% cooldown reduction is really cool from for 15 seconds on a 1 CP consumable. We have 2 whirling wands in the build with 2 major strikes or casts and a major kinetic. We have a Lord's Ward, which is a dummy ward. A dummy ward is a card that you pick up at the very start of the game. You go and put it down on the map, you back, you sell it, you grab your starting cards, which are your healer token, health potion. We have an actual ward in the build, which I have played Wraith only 3 times. Once in solo versus AI, once by myself in PvP, once with my friends in PvP. Not once have I taken wards, but I need to include them in this build because just because I have decent map awareness and I can use his wards to keep myself safe and I don't feel like I need wards, does not mean that I should not be running them. So you should run them too until maybe you feel confident, but even then, probably good idea to just have wards there anyway. So that has a major strike and 2 greater healths. We have 4 early game cards, which are 3 burst engines with minor strikes or casts. It's going to give you a good amount of power and a little bit of mana regen. We also have a silver spear with 2 minor strikes and a lesser heal. It's going to give you effectively another healer token, a little bit of mana and some damage. It's really good in the off lane on any order heroes like Greystone. We then have the last 4 cards, which are potentially our in-game build. Hydroverse and Tainted Magic are in our build. Cast Converter and Teleblink are the options. Okay, so you're either running Cast Converter or Teleblink. Personally, I like Cast Converter better, but arguments can be made for running Teleblink in those sweaty matches. So if you don't feel like you want one of these cards, if you don't feel like you'll ever run Teleblink, replace it with something else. If you don't think you're ever going to want Cast Converter, replace it with something else. And then obviously we have Tainted Magic with a spark and Hydroverse with a minor spark. Okay, so we'll go to test build and we'll have a little look, and I've already got this done on, which is just stupid. We'll get rid of all those cards. So as I said, you start with your Lord's Ward, you go and put it down, you back, you sell it, you grab your healer token, health potion. Okay, now from here I would probably go back and get my ward and focus on getting my Who's There upgraded twice, my back it up, and get my knock knock upgraded twice, my back it up, and then my Who's There last at level 4. And I probably wouldn't prioritize my Who's There too much because back it up and knock knock is so much better. From here I would definitely go and get the Silver Spear. It's going to be great, and then obviously you're just going to want to get your other early game cards. Okay, okay, we can't because we got to get rid of that. At any point during that time, if you wanted to get rid of your health potion and grab the chronotonic, it's a very good idea. It won't give you as good of a health regen, but the cooldown reduction is amazing. So that's the way you're going to be spending your cards towards the early game. But if we take a look at the end game build, which is, please click on our 2 whirling wands, like we said, our Guardian's Ward. I like to take Cast Converter, our Tainted Magic, and our Hydroverse. That's 60 CP. We're going to be sitting at 120 power on the sheet. That doesn't take into account Hydroverse or the damage from Tainted Magic. We'll be at 166 attack speed. we will have an extra 540 health. Yes, okay, so that's going to be 1984 health. We'll be at 1262 mana. We'll be at 6.9 mana regen. Now, you'll see that he does pretty decent basic attacks, and he's going to have a pretty good cooldown on there for a 200 DPS. His knock-knock though is where we really need to look at things now, because nothing in this build is going to affect anything else apart from his basic attack and his knock-knock. So Hydroversa is effectively, with the amount of mana we have on this build, about 88 damage. So long as you're at max build, at max mana, you're going to be adding 88 damage to every single basic attack, taking you over 220 damage on your basic attacks. It's also going to add 80 damage, 80 plus damage to your knock-knock, taking it up to 430. Of course, this is before any armor is taken into account. And then you have Tainted Magic. Now, on a carry, when you're shooting a carry with knock-knock, it is effectively adding... oh shit, I've forgotten already. I'm just going to quickly bring up the numbers here, because I did do the math. On a carry with full health at level 15, it is effectively adding 109 damage, which is 18 CP worth of power. On a caster, it's 19 CP worth of power. On a fighter with no extra health at 1691, it's 22 extra CP of power. And on a tank with 2500 plus health, it is 33 CP or more of power. Okay, so if you take into account that you're hitting a tank before mitigation, you're going to be hitting for 350 plus the 88 off of Hydroversa, which takes you to 438, and then you're going to be hitting for an extra at least 200. Okay, so it's going to be over 600 damage before mitigation. This Tainted Magic, no matter what kind of character you're shooting, so long as they're over 650 health, Tainted Magic is worth more to your knock-knock than what 9 extra CP of power is, and that is the reason why I use it. Plus, you can do it from a very, very long range. It's very deceptive how much damage this actually does, and I love it. It makes me giggle like a schoolgirl. So that is my build, guys. Don't write it off just because of Tainted Magic and Hydroversa. Please try it out. It actually works really well, because the thing about Hydroversa is that it really benefits casters because they have a high mana pool. And then if you take into account the fact that Wraith has that same mana pool, but he has the power scaling on his basic attack, and a 1 power scaling on his knock-knock. He has the power scaling on his basic attack of a low-range fighter, which is 3 times more, which is twice as powerful as the power scaling on a caster. So, say Gideon, for example, has a 0.3 power scaling on his basic attack. You're getting twice as much damage out of this to your basic attack as what you will to a caster, and you're getting the same amount of damage added to any of your abilities, which is only knock-knock, but still. It really works. He has there's a lot of reasons to actually use Hydroversa, so give it a try before you knock it. It really does work, I promise you. I don't run wards, as I said, but I will keep it on this build because the link to this build will be in the description down below. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, please smash the like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and subscribe for more Paragon content. But with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.